Zionist refrain is that Palestinians were offered a state in 1947, and
That's true. They were offered a state in 1947. They were offered a state, meaning they did not have one. There was no Palestine before 1947. There was no Palestine before 1947. Continue.
that they refused, so they have no reason to complain.
That's true. They did refuse. And this lady's going to try to explain why they refused. But you also have to remember, not only did they refuse, but armies, 5 surrounding armies, attacked Israel. And not only in 1947, 1948, but did it in the 50s, and in 1967, and they did it in the 70s in the Yom Kippur War, and they did it with the Intifadas. You've had 80 years of wars of the Arabs against the Jews. About time you realize Israel is here to stay. Keep going.
Let's break that down. The 1947 Palestine Partition Plan divided Palestine into 2 states, a Jewish state and an Arab state.
Again, there were no Arab states. There were no Palestinian states. There was Palestinians, which were made up of Jews, Christians, and Arabs. So there was going to be an Arab state, and then there was going to be a Jewish state. Keep going.
While it might sound balanced, it was not.
Exactly. Of course it wasn't balanced. If you look at the map that you just showed, look at this entire area over here. All this is Arab, Arab, Arab. Arabs got the whole Gaza Strip. Arabs got all the way down here. Arabs got all the fertile area surrounding Jerusalem. They got all this fertile area, and they got all the fertile area up here. What do the Jews get? A little bit over here. Very nice, next to Syria, ex-Lebanon, who wanted to destroy them. They got a little bit of coastal plain over here. Jaffa was still in the Arab hands. And all this is desert. The Jews got all the desert. Keep going.
It was not. Here's why Palestinians rejected it. The partition plan gave 55% of the land to the Jewish state.
Again, 55% of unfertile, arid desert land. Keep going.
However, Jews were only a third of the population. The plan
Exactly. That's why they got the desert land. Keep going.
left Jews with the most fertile areas.
If you call it desert fertile, then you're a loser. Keep going.
Coastal plains and the Western Galilee.
Really? Let's look at that claim. Coastal plains and Western Galilee. Yes, a little bit over here, but look what the Arabs got. And the Arabs got all this land, which is full of rivers that's fed from the Jordan, and all the settlements were here anyway. The Jews would have to move out of all their settlements. Remember, Jerusalem is over here. They would have to move out of all their settlements, and they'd have to move to the desert. Keep going.
The plan split the proposed Palestinian state to 3 sections, left Jerusalem in international hands, and
You know, they could have agreed to one complete state and said, you know what, Jews and Arabs will live in peace together. We will allow you to all your holy sites. You allow us to all our holy sites. Jews said, yes, we will allow you to all your holy sites. And the Arabs said, you don't dare enter our territory. Do you know that from 1948 until 1967, Jerusalem was off limits to the Jews? Jews could not visit even the Wailing Wall. They couldn't even visit the old city. It was completely blocked from the Jews. Keep going.
and made Jaffa a Jewish encircled enclave. The plan withheld independence from part of the country, Jerusalem, while other countries in the region, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, were gaining their independence.
Oh, and now they gained independence, they also attacked Israel in the war of 1948. Keep going.
Palestinians rejected the UN's authority to divide their country.
Really? They rejected that authority, even though they voted in it. Do you know that there were so many Arab countries, all the Arab countries basically voted in this UN partition plan? They all voted in it. They all voted no, but the Western states, led by the United States, led by England, led by the European countries, they voted yes. And it was fair. It was a fair vote. Arabs got the vote, and the Western. You know who did not get a vote? There's not a single other Jewish country besides Israel, which means the only one who didn't get the vote in the UN partition plan was Jews.
Especially since most voting states were Western, white, and excluding most of the global South. Even if the plan has gone through, the Jewish state would have a major problem. Nearly half of its population would have been Palestinian. Without forcibly
No. The population would not have been Palestinians. There were no Palestinians. You mean it would have been Arab? That's what you're trying to say. It would have been Arab because Jews at that time were also quote unquote Palestinian because of the Palestine Mandate, because the British owned the territory and the territory was called Palestine at the time. That's what you're trying to say. The Palestinian people do not exist as a people, as we already established. So you're saying that it would have been Arab. And you're right. And this leads to the last point. The Jews were outnumbered 3-1. And yet, for some reason, the Arabs perpetuate this lie that the Jews were able to create some sort of Nakba, that 1/3 of the population was so strong. And even though it was surrounded by all these Arab neighbors, it was able to kick out all these Arabs from their homes. And you believe those lies?